Hello Internet, what's up my peeps? My niece Vera has become unintentionally multilingual. As many other 6 years old, she's watching a lot of YouTube, which isn't all that bad per se, but the problem is she's watching a lot of English YouTube. And when I say problem, it's not really a problem because it's good that she's learning English outside of Swedish, but she's a bit behind on the alphabet. And with me being the godfather, my brother asked me, or rather tasked me, to help her with the alphabet. So I'm going to make a board that she can pin her favorite things to, and they'll be sorted alphabetically. Hopefully that will help her want to learn the alphabet instead of being forced to learn the alphabet. So let's get going, shall we? And we're gonna base the build on this piece of insulation board. It might be a bit too difficult to shape and cut the way I want it, but we'll see. I'll then build a frame out of old paneling. It looks really bad, but I'm gonna cut it and plane it, make it a lot thinner than it is. This is 22 millimeters, if I remember correctly, and it's 120 here. So I think I'll take this down to at least 15, and this I'll cut. This is 30 millimeter in this direction, so I think I'll do 40 for the frame, so I can have some bracing at the back, because this is kind of flexible. I have, unfortunately, a couple of nicks in my knives for my jointer. So I've just come to accept the fact that I need to do quite a bit more sanding. That's why I leave 0.5 mil or so of the final dimension. But still, going from 22 millimeters to 15 wouldn't be doable without the planer and the jointer. So yeah, it is what it is. So in the end I had to add this longer clamp because the corners wouldn't really hold together. And again, it's not super critical that it's 90 degrees. I mean, it's a wooden frame and a thin one at that, so it'll be quite flexible. In my haste to get this put together, I managed to get this side with the raw or uncut side, where everything else is cut side. This was supposed to be the front, in the hopes of me not needing to sand it as much, but with this in place, I'm going to sand it. Need to sand it quite a bit.
In this clip I originally spent quite some time explaining how difficult it was to get the spacing of the dividers right, but when I edited the footage I realized I simply made my first measurement incorrectly, which then compromised the rest of my math.
As you can see, I goofed when I used my brad nailer, so I need to take care of that without ruining the wood more than it is. Excellent. The next step is actually to print out the letters that I'm going to use on these dividers, as well as for the top bar that says Veras favoriter or Vera's favorite. Okay, good. These need to be mirrored. Of course I didn't print them mirrored the first time around because I didn't think of it, but they need to be mirrored since I'm going to apply them like this. Now I need to figure out where to put them though. I wanted to have the text on this one as big as possible, but then I ran into the limitation of how much I could fit into one sheet of paper. I could have written it in, I could have split this and then we could have made it a lot bigger, but it's easier to line it up this way. So this will be me trying to figure out where to position this way, center it this way and center it this way, both for the main piece where it says Vera's favorite, so Vera's favoriter, and then for all the individual letter dividers. Now that I've figured out where everything is supposed to go, I'll tape this down so it won't move. Then I'll use an iron to transfer this. This is from a LaserJet, so it should work well enough if I crank this up to the max. There are other ways. I think DIY Perks had some information on this, but I can't recall that right now. I've done this before. So I'm gonna plug the iron in and then carefully transfer it over, and hopefully it sticks. What do you think? I can smell a bit of hot wood, maybe not burnt, but let's see if that one works. I'll try and engage it a bit more in the middle. And as you can see, I'm only moving the iron from the direction where I taped it. And I'm hoping that that tape is enough to keep everything aligned. Now I'm just using the very tip. Yeah, that's absolutely good enough. I'm gonna color this in, fill this in. So I just need a basic outline, and I think that is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, this works good enough. As you can see, it's not perfect, but that's an outline for me to work from. Just a quick note before we start the time lapse with me doing these. I finally found my paper cutter. I knew I had this. I've owned this for, I don't know, 15 years, but I could not find it. But it finally clicked, if you're wondering where this one came from. So what I'm doing here is that I need somehow to keep this attached without having to tape it around the letters, because let's look at B. There's not a lot of space for me to tape anything here. Perhaps this tape would survive, but I'm not going to take any chances, neither with my iron nor with this. So I just tape another piece rigid, and then I'm going to use this section to tape it down. Yeah, I'm pleased as punch as how this came out. Really good. Much better than the previous ones I did with Vera's favoriter. I did lower the heat on the iron. It's on cotton right now. That's like perhaps 80% of the max of this specific iron. And then I'm not sure if it was obvious in the time lapse, but I applied a lot more pressure with the tip, and I did a lot of back and forth, because once the toner from LaserJet starts to transfer, it really sticks. As you saw, I had to use my knife to pry or peel these off. Something really interesting happened here. I'm not sure why or what, but there's a perfect circle. I'm guessing I had some schmutz on the letter, as you can see. The ink or the toner seeped through. So I'm gonna do the rest of these off camera, because if you've seen one, you've seen them all. And also gonna mention that I'm not bothered by these, because I'm gonna fill these out as well, because I need to divide the letters somehow. I could cut something and fill it in perhaps, but nonetheless these dividers will still be here when the piece is finished. Let's get cracking! Here we are, all of them done. I realized that whoever designed this font or typeface, I'm no graphic designer. Whoever designed this typeface, I guess, didn't really care about being consistent with the height for these exotic characters in the Swedish alphabet. So these are, especially the ä and the ö, is a lot higher than all the other ones. The O is somewhat higher, but yeah, it works out. Also, I didn't want to just do 4 divisions here. It would look odd to me. So I decided this is a better look, leaving this one empty. Doing this took roughly 2-3 hours, perhaps. I haven't kept track. But I think it was worth it, because now I can trace these outlines. So I've been thinking, which is a good thing in this case, I won't actually be filling these in. I really like this look. Also, it will go quicker if I don't, but yeah, this looks aged, faded. I do not like this though. Partly because it's too faded, but mostly because the spacing here, I mean, it's technically correct. As you can see, this A and the V, they are exactly properly spaced. But compared to the R and the I, or the O and the R, this looks really dumb. So I'm gonna sand this off. Then I printed new text where I manually spaced the F, A, and V. And then I'm gonna just string that together properly. And this also made it possible to make this bigger, which I think it should be. So let's get to sanding this off, and then we're gonna reapply the B lettering. As you can see, this isn't working nearly as well. I'm not sure why. Perhaps this wood, I should have cleaned it more after sanding it. It's good enough. There are some splotches, especially over here. See if we can get to that. Yep, done. Perfect. Excellent. Spot on. Just as I wanted it. Something like this, but with all the dividers flush with the top of the frame. Kinda sorta works with the a bit more faded title of Vera's Favoriter, because then it's separated from separated from the separate letters.
I caught my mistake just in time. I need to fill in the lines properly before I lacquer over them. The pencil lines would be fine, I suppose, but I want the lines to be really visible.
While drawing these dividers, I realized that there's quite a lot of pencil marks I need to get rid of. 15 minutes with a 180 grit sandpaper and we're sort of back in action. Really fun getting between the dots of the Ö and the Ä. Not to mention trying to get the line out from within the ring of the Å. Still good enough. Again, it's a pretty rough look. I mean, this is weathered, the leathering, and the wood is kind of fatigued and sort of weathered as well. Parts of this wood. Didn't really enjoy being sanded. It was way too soft due to the... not really sure if it's a fungus or what it is, but yeah. So I just tore right through this part, but never mind. It adds character, I guess.